Hey, it's your boy Optimus. Another Monday night means another episode of Raw on USA. For a review and some fantasy booking, let's take it over to the action figures. Randy Orton comes out for a promo. He brags about his resume and says that it's better and longer than The Rock or Austin. He says when he woke up this morning, he realized that he desires the WWE Championship, which means he needs to talk about Drew McIntyre. Randy commends Drew on his redemption story and says he's good, but that he can't hold a candle to Randy. The problem is that Drew has what Randy wants, and Randy has a way of getting what he wants. So he's challenging Drew for the title at SummerSlam. Nia Jax rambles on about wanting another title shot. Shayna Baszler comes out and says no one cares what Nia wants. They get into a scuffle. Yawn. The Street Profits are in the ring to introduce a triple threat match to determine their opponents at SummerSlam. They say they finally get the chance to ring announce. First up, Montez Ford says that if Thor had these guys in Wakanda, Thanos never would have been able to make half the life in the universe disappear. The Viking Raiders! I'm still trying to get the matching Montez Ford for this Angelo Dawkins, and hopefully I can find it soon. I did find some old Ring of Honor figures for the Viking Raiders, then known as War Machine, but they're not as good as WWE action figures, and I'm gonna wait for the official ones. Next, Angelo Dawkins says these guys ride together and fly together. Ricochet and Cedric the Sports Entertainer, the Flyboys? I did confirm that their actual name is Two Fly Crew. There's a decent Cedric Alexander out there that I've seen with the Cruiserweight belt, but it's a little pricey for right now. Finally, both Street Profits get about halfway through smack-talking Zelina Vega's boys, saying Charlie Caruso isn't looking for an angel on her shoulder, before Andrade's music cuts them off. I've talked about the Andrade figure with the La Sombra mask before, but I also want an Angel Garza figure once they release it. Street Profits are on commentary for the match as Zelina Vega's boys play cowardly heels. The babyface teams are competitive but respectful, high-flying versus power. There's some temporary alliances, some good stories, and a few good sequences. Towards the end, Ivar takes out the babyface teams as Garza hits the wing clipper for the win. After the match, they attack the Street Profits ringside. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler come out for a match. Nia doesn't really sell any of Shayna's offense as they tumble to the outside. They both get counted out, but continue fighting. Officials step in to break it up and get beaten up. Nia stands tall. This is just as boring as the earlier segment. Ruby Riott and Bianca Belair are talking to Mark Henry backstage for some reason. This is eerily reminiscent of the Ron Simmons segment from last week. Seth Rollins comes to the ring with his disciple Murphy in tow. He says he should be in a good mood, but he's not because Dominic Mysterio is here to confront him. He claims that people who stand in his way tend to get hurt, like KO, Ray, and Aleister Black. The Monday Night Messiah doesn't like to hurt people, so to avoid confrontation, he wants Dominic to come to the ring and talk this out, face to face, man to man. Dominic is very hesitant, but Seth assures him that it's safe. Once in the ring, though, Dominic attacks, but the 2-on-1 is too much. Aleister Black with the late save gets beat down as well. Seth begins to scream for Murphy to do what needs to be done, and slaps him repeatedly in the face. Murphy is conflicted, but finally gouges out Aleister's eye on the ring steps. Dominic reappears and chases them off with a kendo stick. I think if I see a "he's not your buddy, Murphy" figure in the stores, I'm definitely going to get him. I'm starting to like him as the disciple of Seth. R-Truth is talking to Ali backstage. Truth wants his baby back and thinks that Ali is after it. He says, "I've got my eyes on you, Mufasa." Did you just call me Mufasa? In the VIP lounge, we see the executive board of the Hurt Business, and MVP still thinks that he's the real United States champion. MVP introduces Mustafa Ali and offers his help per usual. Ali says he and his little friends put the Hurt Business out of business. He's back on Raw and ready for the opportunity to become a champion. MVP cautions that Apollo Crews went down this same path and look where it got him. Ali can either be a champion or a chum in the water for Bobby Lashley. Ali refuses. I love this Ali figure that I have. I do wish it was blue instead of yellow, but that's nitpicky. What bugs me is that Ali was hinted to be the SmackDown hacker for the longest time, and I really think he would have done well in that role, especially with his former job as a cop. But with this move to Raw, it's obvious that they've dropped that storyline. Ali is super talented, and his entrance gear is merchandising bonanza. I just can't understand why WWE doesn't push him more. As I've said before, both Bobby Lashley and MVP are on the list of Optimus. R-Truth comes out of nowhere and tackles Shelton Benjamin, but he's chased off before he can get the pin. We get a classic big guy, little guy fight, with Bobby Lashley using punishing big moves as Ali sells like crazy but never stays down. He does get a little bit of offense in, but for the most part it's domination by Lashley, who locks in the full Nelson for the submission. In the middle of the match, Tozawa appears out of nowhere and tries to pin Shelton Benjamin, but gets taken out as well. Meanwhile, MVP and Bobby Lashley take out his ninjas. Dolph Ziggler is giving a nonsensical interview backstage with Charlie Caruso in order to cover up the fact that it was announced earlier in the day that this match is no longer for the title. Bayley and Sasha Banks come to the ring with all their belts. Sasha says Stephanie McMahon is the biggest bully of all because she's forcing her to defend the Raw Women's Championship tonight. Stephanie's just jealous that Sasha and Bayley hold all the gold and run this company. Asuka comes out with Kairi Sane. Before the match, Kairi chases Bayley to the back. We find out that there's no champion's advantage and the belt can change hands under any circumstances. About halfway through the match, Sasha tries to take the belt and run, but that would cost her the title. Then she tries to make it look as if Asuka used the belt on her, but the ref sees through it. There's lots of submissions through multiple commercial breaks. Cut to the Titantron where Bayley is beating up Kairi in the back. Asuka can't stay focused on the match and eventually runs to the back to save Kairi, getting counted out. Sasha is your legitimate champion. Her and Bayley now officially hold all of the belts. They celebrate outside the trainer's room where Kairi is getting evaluated by medical. Asuka comes out screaming in anger. We get a decent little TV match between Murphy and Humberto Carrillo. I don't have a figure for either one of these guys because they're relatively new, but I've always liked Humberto in particular. His Aztec Warrior entrance gear alone would justify the purchase. Drew McIntyre is also talking to Mark Henry backstage. Do I need to get a Mark Henry figure? Drew comes out and says it's official. He's taking on Randy Orton for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. He then tells Dolph to come out and reveals the stipulation is Extreme Rules. This time, it's no DQ for both of them. As mentioned before, Dolph is on the list of Optimus because he's a knockoff Shawn Michaels. We get a classic hardcore match with lots of weapons, kendo sticks, tables, chairs, but like most of Drew McIntyre's matches, it ends with the Claymore kick. Afterwards, Randy Orton hits an RKO out of nowhere and holds up the belt to the camera. That wraps up another episode of Raw. Nothing too exciting and a few boring segments unlike last week, so definitely not their best effort. Honestly, it was so mediocre, I didn't even feel like doing any fantasy booking this time. Luckily, AEW Dark is tonight, and I'll have a reactions video up later. I'm still working on trying to get this channel up and running, so make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I'll catch you later.